Hey, what is going down, everybody? Welcome to a very special Am I Still on the Air? That's right, it is that time once again for some spoiler talk. And tonight it's about that Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Venom 2, the sequel is here. Finally. It's been a long delay, guys, thanks to COVID. This movie should have been out last year. It was on my most anticipated list of last year, and then it got pushed back, and then it got pushed back again, and then it got pushed back again, and then they bumped it up a couple weeks, and then here we are. So very happy to be able to talk about this film the way that we want to talk about, which is full spoilers. Once again, spoilers. So my name is DONMEGA, everybody. I am your host, and I welcome you to the show. And as always, when we do the Am I Still in the Airs, we like to have some special guests. And if you watched these before, you know who they are. So coming in here first, I got my boy Peeps. What is going down?
Hey, and DX, that's copyright. So you opened with the hey, so just be careful with that.
Hey.
What's up, Planet Earth? This is Peeps. I am very sorry about the side of Peeps that you're going to see tonight. But DX, as always, my dude, thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, coming back to the spoiler review, it's our boy Frigginz. What's cracking?
Hey guys, what's up, man? I just came back from like a 7.5-hour drive from California just so I could be here today to talk to you about Venom. I wish I had a lot more to say about it though, but we'll get to it.
I don't know. We're gonna have to fuck this guy when he starts spitting this bullshit. Hey, now Fred, we're happy to have you here. We waited to do this spoiler review just for Frigginz. We were ready to roll over the weekend, but Frigginz had some other stuff to do. He was a real busy man, and he said, I'll be back on Wednesday. And we said, fine, Wednesday, we're going to be here, and we're going to get this thing going, because I am ready to break this thing down. I am ready to talk about this, the number one movie in the world, and I had a blast with it, and I feel like we're going to have some really cool discussions here, because I feel like this trifecta here might be a little offset. So, we all came here the last time for Shang-Chi, and everybody was like, yay, Shang-Chi's the greatest. And it was all kumbaya, and we all had a great time. But Venom, a little bit more divisive, I would say. So, I know I loved it. I think Frigginz hated it. And then I think Peeps, you might be in the middle somewhere. I'm anxious because he's been very tight-lipped. He's been like, I don't really want to say too much. I want to save it for the show. So I know he's got some views and opinions. So I'm anxious to get into it and break this thing down once again. So once again, and your last warning, spoilers. So if you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't want to be spoiled, this is not the discussion for you. Go watch the movie and then come back and see what you thought, see what side of the fence you fall on. Okay, that's your last warning on spoilers. So as we typically do, we always like to start with our overall thoughts. So just kind of
spoiler in this.
We went to the theater, we got out of the theater. I know we've had several days to dissect this thing since then, so let's not think about where we sit today, but coming right out the theater, where are our heads at? So I've seen the movie twice already. I saw it on the preview night in IMAX, and it was glorious as always. Absolutely loved it. And then went again over the weekend, saw it a second time, still loved it. And had a really great blast with this movie and been thinking about it a lot over the last couple of days, just the real cool moments that replay in my head and stuff like that. So coming out of it, man, I was super pleased. Got a couple little nitpicks that we'll get into later, but super pleased on my overall thoughts just coming out the theater. So Peeps, I need to hear it. What's the overall thought here?
So Peeps coming out of the theater, there was a moment that I'm sure we're going to be getting really into a little bit later that had Peeps super excited. And it's kind of hard to gauge because that moment had me on cloud 9, right? It had me so excited that I kind of forgot everything else that I had seen before, whether if I liked it or if I didn't like it. But coming out of it, the one moment that I'm referring to just had me super excited. So I was super stoked, and I was just thinking like, oh my gosh, where are we going? Are we going here? Are we going there? What does this mean?
You're obviously talking about the post-credits, right?
Yes. DX, could you believe what just happened? So super excited. But I guess after that kind of sunk in just a little bit after the theater, I things started hitting me like, well, why did this happen? If none of this matters, why did any of this actually happen? And I must say, like, honestly, I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit disappointed with my overall. I wasn't in a
That
like.
sounds more of after you marinated a little bit. Come on, whoa, right out the theater.
Sure.
How were you feeling?
I mean, I was like, oh, I was excited. So right out the theater, I was super excited.
But mainly because of the post-credit scene.
Mainly because of the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, that's the rough part about this here that I'm finding, because I'm seeing a lot of people be like, this movie's the movie it is because of the post-credit scene, and just kind of like that's the highlight of the film for them. And yes, it's super awesome, and we will get into that scene. But it just sucks that's the only lasting impression you had kind of coming out of it.
It was. It just kind of snowballed from there. So yeah.
Okay. Overall thoughts, Frigginz coming out of it, finally got to the theater. He saw it. He was stoked. And then he was like, wah, wah.
Well, hey, don't be putting words in my mouth. First off, I got to start off with saying I wasn't super stoked to actually see it from the get-go.
True, because you didn't care for the first one very much.
Not at all. I thought the first one was kind of a facepalm for me. And I was going to see the second because I've always wanted to see Carnage on the big screen. So that was really exciting for me. But coming out the movie, all I could think of is, I'm going to completely separate post-credit scene situation from movie. So this is just movie. All I could think about was how many times in the theater that I found myself like this. And Peeps, you could attest. Like I was just like so many times, just over. At one point, I look over to my cousin, and he's over there in this far corner pointing at me. And he's not using his words, but I could read his lips, and he's saying, "I blame you for this." I mean, literally, right out the gate, the opening credits, all I'm hearing is the music, and I'm like, oh no. Like right out the gate, it was oh no. And just almost immediately to this. And I stayed there almost the entire movie. I have to say,
you did.
There were a few moments of laughter that did bring me a little joy. So when we walked out of the theater, we're talking.
His heart is black. His heart is black.
It is pretty black. We talked about some of those funny moments. So I had a little bit of joy. It wasn't complete hatred. Like I didn't want to walk out the movie, but I did not like this movie at all. And that was my overall thoughts straight out of the gate without like thinking it through. Was just. For those that are listening and not doing the audio
right now.
or just audio, I'm doing a face palm with my head tilted down in complete sorrow, just shaking my head left to right. It was full disappointment.
Wow. So, man, I might be alone on this island. I thought we were going to be kind of high, medium, low, but Peeps is scaring me over here after he's marinated. So
I am sorry.
You know what I will add is I had a little bit of a not osmosis, but like Peeps kind of had, with you're talking, well, Don, you're talking on the message and you're like, this was so awesome. And Peeps is like laughing about all the moments in this and having like a good time while watching it. And I was just kind of like, maybe I liked it a little bit more, but I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm shocked. Color me shocked. It makes me want to say fuck these guys. But yeah, wow. Okay. Well, very, very interesting here. So I will be alone on my Venom Island, I guess. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, you liked the first one, right, Peeps? Or you were kind of torn on that one too?
So the first one, I appreciate what they gave us, given that they did not have Spider-Man rights. So, but yeah. So no, I mean, I thought overall, I think it was fine. I'm not going to say it was good. It's not going to make any of my top lists or anything. But I went to see a Venom movie, and I was happy with the Venom scenes that I got. Yes, I had a lot of issues with other things and villains, and you can, if you like to hear all that stuff, you can check out episode on the People's Farm where DX and I talked all about episode the first Venom movie. But I mean, I would say at the end of the day, overall, like I enjoyed Venom, and I would say, hey, you should probably check this movie out to another.
Well, the reason I just ask is because I feel like this is definitely one of those movies that leans more on the if you didn't like the first one, you're probably not going to like the second one. And if you did really like the first one, I think you'll really like the second one. Because I mean, it's a lot of the similar vibes, right? Like, I feel like if you really dug Venom's persona in the first movie and you liked the bickerness between Eddie and Venom and that kind of dynamic that they had, that carries over and is amped up in the second one, and it makes you appreciate it if that's what you dug in the first movie. I'm finding that most people that don't like the sequel didn't like the first one, so that's why I knew that with Fred that was kind of where he was going to probably fall, because there's not many people that seem to hate the first one and are like, "Ooh, the second one was great," because it is just a lot kind of more of what the first one gave, just kind of turned up a little bit. So it is kind of an interesting one. It's not definitely a sequel that I feel breaks down any barrier to be like, wow, if you didn't like the first one, I guarantee you're really going to like the second one. I feel like it's kind of just more of the same. So that's what's interesting to kind of gauge. So, typically we like to always start right off with the what we didn't like. And I feel like this will be the majority of the discussion now, since two people don't really care for it very much. So I will then start with what didn't we like, because I will probably have the least to say in this era. My takeaways that I did not really care for this movie. Number one, I'm going to start with Shriek. I did not like Shriek. I thought Shriek was irrelevant to really the overall story and could have been taken out, and we still would have had the exact same movie. I didn't see the reason to force another character in here, especially a character that had powers that really is never explained, right? We're not in a universe that people are mutants or have abilities and somehow she can, and okay, we're just supposed to accept it, right? She has powers. Let's send her to Ravencroft.
With other people that have powers.
Supposedly, yeah,
Right.
but we didn't see nothing. Again, like we didn't see nothing. So to me, and I like Naomi Harris. So let me state this. Like, I like the actress, right? I didn't even know that was Naomi Harris until about a week before the movie came out. Like, because in the trailer, they don't advertise her and you only see quick shots. And I was like, I'm like, who the hell is this chick? Like, I thought it was just some random actress. And then I'm like, holy shit, they got Naomi Harris to do this and they waste her. I don't feel like she gave anything. And I thought her performance was kind of whack, to be honest. Like, I didn't like the whole, like, I got you. Like, it just, like, I didn't, like, she kind of hammed it up, like, in that old school comic book movie style that I thought we removed the past of.
This whole movie.
Sorry. Yes, with their little, eye for an eye, copper. Like, like, it just, so I didn't like it. And I didn't feel Cletus needed that. Cletus Cassidy, this serial killer, this guy that's batshit crazy, becomes Carnage. Do we really need this Bonnie and Clyde, like, natural born killers kind of side mission of, like, I need to get my girlfriend back? Like, it's the first thing I'm going to do when I break out of prison is get my girl that I haven't seen since I was 18 years old, And so that was just, to me, it was stupid and did not need to be there. So Shriek was a big part for it. And then honestly, the only other two things that I would say, and this is kind of where it gets into the nitpick part, is I wish it was a little bit longer. Like, it was only 90 minutes long, which works in its own right to just, I mean, it is a very quick paced movie. It kind of starts, it goes, and it ends, which I think maybe works in its benefit to kind of see it multiple times and kind of have fun with it. But to me, it needed a little bit more time. And then in that extra time, give me a little bit more action. We only really had the one fight with Venom and Carnage, which was the end of the movie, one climatic battle, right? Oh shit, it's a red one. Like, and we got it right at the end, and that was the only battle of the whole movie. To me, this movie built on Let There Be Carnage. We should have had at least 3 interactions between these two guys throughout the movie, right? Like, Venom meets him first, he gets his ass kicked, right? and then we gotta figure out a way to beat him, right? We're gonna die. And then it's like, and then we have another quick fight, and then something else happens, and then we have the big showdown at the cathedral at the end. But we only had the one fight, and that was that. And I felt like we needed more Carnage versus Venom in this movie, and I feel like that took away from it not having at least one more fight. I would have given 2 more, and they didn't have to be long, but the movie could have been another 15, 20 minutes, still kept it under 2 hours, and really nailed that pace and give us a little bit more action, because there's not a ton of action in this movie. There are great moments, but then there's a lot of downtime where the humor comes into play, and I do appreciate that, because I love the humor balance with it. But I really wanted to see more Venom, fighting crime and kicking ass, and but no, he's sidelined the whole movie of like, don't eat nobody and just eat chickens, and and that's that, and you're not allowed to do anything, and then we separate for a little bit, and then we come back for the ultimate battle at the end. So that's pretty much what I got, guys. Is just Shriek didn't care for it, could have took her out. The runtime could have been a little bit longer, and in that extra runtime, give me more action and a couple more fights with Carnage and Venom. So those are my big what we didn't like takeaways on that. So Frigginz, I'll pass it to you, man. What were the standouts for you of like the big moments you were like, didn't like?
How long did you say the movie was? 90 minutes? Is that right?
90 minutes. Yep. It's an hour and a half.
I think it was about 75 minutes could have been cut, and I would have been happy.
Stop it.
In all honesty, like, I love talking about the movies, and I try really hard to kind of like, especially if it's a movie that I don't really like, there's usually a lot of things that I can pinpoint and say, okay, I did like this part. I did like this part. This is what kept me watching the film. And this is one that I struggled with big time, because I found I personally don't like the whole cheesy comic booky kind of thing, and that does hit for some people. Some people enjoy that older style vibe, and more fun, less serious, those kinds of things.
I want you to notice the movie.
Everybody freeze.
But yes, and we have a Joel Schumacher type of film here in Venom 2, and this like over focus on the campiness was the first thing that drove me nuts. I wanted, look, I'm going to say it. You guys know I'm going to say this for every movie, but this movie, I think, is different. It should have been rated R. Yes, peeps, you know me. We've talked about movies before. I absolutely think that this movie would have done a million times better had they pulled the trigger with going with the rated R version. You can have rated R characters interact in a non-rated R movie later on or whatever if you wanted to do some kind of crazy thing later, but like this needed to be rated R. And I'm not even saying like I didn't need all kinds of gore, but by making it rated R, they allow those things that you talked about, Don, about having your villain, anti-villain, kill people. Like I think that was one of the things, is they're trying to keep him from killing folks. Venom, that's what Venom does. He's an anti-hero. He's a Punisher. He kills the bad guys. You got to let him do that. So that was another aspect of it. And look, I'm also going to break it down.
He killed a lot of people in this.
I'm pretty sure he killed one person in that movie.
Well, killed a lot of chickens.
Okay, when he was bouncing around but you're right, Peeps. There was a few, but he needed to be eating bad guys along the way as well.
You say Ida, I say Ida.
He needed the brains.
Ida.
Now, look, I'm also going to pinpoint on like the whole like construction of the film and the cinematography and all of that, from the score to the shooting of the shots to the landscapes to the lighting to the story, the cuts.
Directed by Andy Serkis, by the way.
I love Andy Serkis. He's amazing. I want to see him do so many things, but I don't want whoever got involved to mess this thing up, because I'm telling you, you could feel the missed moments. I don't want this movie to be longer, but it needed to be longer to make better sense. There were so many cutscenes, so many small details that were driving me nuts, and some of the stupidest things that like shouldn't even matter, but it was so overlooked that, like, just real quick example, when Carnage goes and breaks out Shriek, like first you see him swing by behind the lady, then he's in the room magically, and then his tentacle goes through and chokes her, but then there's another shot later and you don't see any vents, any pipes, any windows above where his tentacle could even have gone to loop around to choke out that lady.
Well, so, I just assumed it was in the crack of the door.
That door was like mega. No way. So nonetheless, I digress. There's just so many different like they pay people to look for. I can't think of the name of it at this moment, but there's a position that is employed in filmmaking where they go through and they check the timelines. They make sure, okay, in this scene he had the cup in his right hand, but then over here's in the left hand, so we try and correct those kinds of issues. And I just feel like they needed that, and you can tell that there was a lot of forced cuts to eliminate some of the fluidity of the film. So, I can go on, but then Peeps isn't going to have anything to talk about. But, if I look at it that way, I say, the structure of cinematography was a huge misstep right off the bat. And then everything else. And you talked, okay, Peeps, I'm sorry. You just, hold on.
No, speak your mind, man. That's what the section's about. Don't feel rushed.
This is your time.
This is your time.
If you do not say what you wanted to say, you're going to regret it later.
I'm so going to regret it. I might even jump in when you're talking. When you say something, I'm going to be like,
feel free. You both can do that because,
But yes, you talked about the last fight. And the last fight. I'm just telling you, it didn't work for me. I feel like, let's just make it go bigger. Like that's what they always do. And I felt like there's so much uniqueness with the character of Carnage that they never explored. They made Woody Harrelson act out this Arnold Schwarzenegger like character of this quote unquote like cartoony psychotic person instead of letting him play like an actual serial killer person. Like they're likable. They convince people. He was terrible.
No,
I love
Woody. Excellent. He was excellent.
He wasn't
a
creepy.
Great Cletus.
He wasn't interesting. He wasn't funny. He was annoying and just awkward. And he needed to have
right out the pages
another aspect to him that make him likable or threatening. He just was annoying. He wasn't threatening. And so anyway, I didn't like all of that build up, how they utilized Cletus, and then that end fight scene where I wanted his voice to be like drastically different and something unique, and I wanted his look to be more creepy crawly, he's thin and he's more agile, and instead he's this big hulking monster type thing that was 3 times bigger than Venom. Like, okay, you just gotta make the bad guy bigger.
I don't agree about that either.
I feel like it was
he was
the
not
exact
as big as Venom.
same.
Venom was way more hulking than Carnage was.
No,
yes, he was.
They showed them side by
Venom
side.
Venom is all like a boosh.
I mean,
and Carnage is all slender walking down the hallway.
But he's 10 times bigger.
In that cathedral fight, he does the spider thing and he crawls all crazy. He was doing totally different shit, turning his arms into weapons. He had a lot of different moves than Venom. I agree with you on the voice. He sounded way too similar to Venom.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, I'm Carnage, let there be carnage. And it was just a lot of the same. I can totally get with you on that, but I think they're Carnage was straight off the pages, man. He was awesome, dude.
Couldn't disagree with you more.
He looks so good. Look at that hot toy, man, and then tell me that.
I mean, the toy's great. The toy's great, but
that's off the movie. That's what the hot toys do.
But in comparison, it's just when seeing them on screen, nothing matched up. I hated that they didn't explain some things. Again, as much as I didn't want any more minutes added, they needed some more minutes to explain. I'm sorry, I didn't know that Shriek, when she kills a person, that they just instantly come back to life with glowing eyes. Okay, that doesn't make any damn sense, but whatever.
It has nothing to do with her. Yeah, it has nothing to do with her.
It's just, I could go on. But there are 3 of us here, so Peeps, what did I miss? Because I just wanted to say everything and drop the mic and be done.
DX, I haven't heard anything from you in a little bit.
Yeah,
you'd like to say before I jump in. All right, so
just that he's wrong with the the cop glowing eyes, but
and both of you feel free to jump in, at any time. So after I kind of sat and let this movie marinate and sink in a little bit, unfortunately, I just got more and more frustrated with what it could have been. I do agree with Fred. I feel that Carnage was walking upright. When he was walking through the prison, he's standing straight up, and his posture is that of Woody Harrelson. And I get it, symbiote, human, but like it wasn't like that menacing, like psychotic, crazy, like you can't reason with. Yeah, just like when the cop is like, "Oh, I have a family." Like I feel like in the comics, that cop wouldn't even have been able to get that line out. Like I have a blah, just the image of that I had of Carnage in my head was messed up. In the end, it felt like the Hulk. The only way and I'm talking about Ang Lee Hulk, the only way for them to show how much stronger a character is to make the character physically bigger. And by the end of the movie, Carnage, his body after he got his power up, he was like double the size of Venom, which I will also put in my goods. Like, I don't like that they didn't keep the same Carnage from the comic, but I appreciate what they're doing, and I thought visually it looked pretty cool. Just not what I wanted. As you were stating, DX, this movie, it felt like a 90s superhero movie. I felt like we went backwards in terms of these comic book hero movies that we've been enjoying so much. I hated the cop. I hated the cop. He was just that cliche.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Eddie, I know you're doing something, because like you in the center of all this over here. I know there's these aliens over here, and it's got something to do with you. I know you got Cletus put in prison or the jail, the death sentence, but you also had something to do with him escaping because he got some kind of suit. This makes no sense, Mr. Police Officer. Your story, I get that you're going with your gut on this one, but like it's horrible. And the fact that Eddie using the Venom symbiote suit instead of doing what Frigginz and I know that Venom can do, instead of like having the suit and disguising himself as somebody else or slickly walking out of the prison, he just bulldozes a hole in the side of the prison to escape. Like, whatever. Fine. But I hated the vampire cop and Frigginz. That's basically the origin story of Toxin. And now that Venom will potentially not be in the Sony universe anymore, they are possibly going to be giving us, maybe, who knows, but we're going to see potentially a Toxin. That was the Toxin character start. I didn't like any of the supporting actors except for Anne. Anne was great. I thought Mrs. Chen would have been a little bit better, but she was fine. I hated Party Venom. Like, I kind of get that, Venom, he's new, right? He's new to the world. He's almost an adolescent. That's why he's so petty and he's so he fights with Eddie the way that he does, because he's new, he's young. But then at the end, you kind of find out that he's existed over billions and millions of years, and I have knowledge that will destroy your brain by even having 1% of it. Like what? Like so what you're going to do is just go party? I don't know. And like, what did that do for the character? Like, what did that give us? You're talking about expanding the movie. How about let's just cut out some stuff like party mode Venom and like repurpose that time in the movie that I feel we wasted not actually doing anything. I don't need Eddie. 5 minutes later, oh God, I need Eddie. Oh God, I'm tired. Like, I don't know. I if you're going to tell me that Eddie and Venom need each other, that they are a match, I need you guys to show me, like, how did they get? How are they a match? What about them couples them? They fought the whole movie, and at the end of the movie, the only time that they come together is when Eddie's life is in danger because there's a red symbiote / serial killer coming after him. That's the only reason why Eddie decided he needed Venom back. There was nothing else. Not that I was kind of hoping for, like, he would see the chick and he'd be like, oh, I kind of, like he misses Venom, or he did see a criminal hurt somebody and he could have stopped them, but because he rejected Venom, he wasn't able to do that kind of thing. So just that, I don't understand why. Look at them.
They bicker
They're
like
not
an
a
old
match.
married couple. They bicker like
Yeah,
an old
they
married
did.
couple. It's a rom-com attitude.
Sure,
And that
sure.
it shows that they have a love and hate relationship, and they are paired very well. I mean, I think that is displayed very well throughout the movie. Like, as much as maybe you didn't feel that void for you, but I feel like that back and forth they have is they needed each other, and it took that separation in the movie for them to both kind of realize it, that I'm better with the other half, you know. And I think that that was the point of kind of separating them. You know, I know that rave scene is kind of hit and miss for people. Like, I appreciated it for what it was, because it gave Venom that kind of free moment to kind of just be like, you know, I need to be free, and you know, people, Eddie shouldn't be ashamed of me. Like, I should be able to be out here doing my thing, and he's always hiding me and keeping me away from the public. And it was just a way to kind of get some exposition out from Venom that you wouldn't have got really any other way. You know, like, could it have been done in a different format? I'm sure it could have been altered a different way. Maybe he could have just went and saw Anne and just explained that to Anne, right? Because he had that relationship with her. It could have been done a different way. But I think for the more comedic kind of approach, you know, going to like a rave with a bunch of weirdos and everybody's just kind of living free, you know, thank you, one guy. Like, you know, like, it just that's what just kind of gave that moment of him just kind of feeling like, oh, I found my people, and I can, you know, talk to the world for the first time kind of freely.
I would have appreciated that moment a little bit more if they would have accepted Venom's symbiote. Like, oh, this doesn't freak you out? Like, no, like, we're a bunch of goth kids. Like, we love this kind of shit. Like, we think it's amazing that you're a space alien come down to hang out and party with us. Like, if they would have accepted Venom as Venom, I would have appreciated that more, outside of, hey, nice suit, bro. Like, I don't know.
Well, and the other problem with that too is that why is it that like Hollywood always wants to take away the powers? Like, that's what's the cool thing of characters.
We
and
must
yet,
learn our lesson.
Exactly. We have like, and Spider-Man 2, that was the big thing, is they took Peter's powers away. You know, in the Wolverine, they like reduce his powers, and I mean, in Superman, there's one where they have him take his powers away. Like, there's always these films where they think it's cooler to take away the powers. But I don't know, like, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw them like splitting up, was like, oh, here we go again, another, like, here's your cool character, let's not explore them more together, like, let's just immediately take away the powers and make them, you know, normal again. I feel your piece.
No, I agree. You know, in films, and Frigginz and I, we talk about this all the time. Like, we appreciate setups and then payoffs, or if they're foreshadowing something. I don't feel they attempted any of that. There was nothing that they set up in the beginning that we actually got at the end, and it all kind of came together. It just, again, it was a movie. It was a very black and white. Okay, we got bad guy, we got good guy. We got to make them fight. We got love interest. You know, we got bad guy love interest. We got bad guy killing spree. And I'm all about showing and don't telling. I would have liked to see Cletus be terrifying, be scary, maybe deal with some inmates, maybe even see him sharpening a blade while some of his people that he was about to kill, you know, like actually have that sense of like, this guy is unhinged. And then, you know, then the cops come and they rescue everybody and then they save the day. But like, they just said, I'm a crazy guy. And I'm going to leave that for the likes. But you know,
you got something for the likes? Great.
I do got I got a few for the likes. I do. But I'm with Frigginz. I didn't like Cletus at all. I didn't feel, he wasn't scary to me. I hated the Carnage voice. I also, if Carnage is just being born, if he is the son of Venom, I would have loved for there to be some kind of conversation between Cletus and Carnage, like that moment right before he comes out of the you know,
the gas chamber.
Yeah, in the gas chamber. Well, yeah, exactly. Like you hear a voice, like, it goes to black, and then it's like inside the mind of Cletus, and you hear this high pitched Carnage voice, like, where am I? Who is this? Like, who are you? And he's like, I'm and then like that's their introduction to each other. And this young alien symbiote doesn't know like, what is my purpose? Why do I exist? And then we can get a cliche, you're here for carnage or something, so that we see them actually coming together, and that it's Cletus's psychosis that has created this monster. But instead, I feel like they gave us, "Hi, I'm Carnage, and my one purpose is to kill Venom. What do you want to make a deal, Cletus?" Yeah, my one deal is to get my girlfriend back. And another thing, Naomi Harris, 45, freaking Woody Harrelson, 60. Like, did anybody else dry heave when those two were like mouth kissing? Like,
oh yeah,
that was a gross moment. And I'm like, and then we know, black don't crack. So if you're going to have somebody try to be 60, like let's get, I don't know, let's dig up Eartha Kitt and have her portray this. She did not look like somebody that was the same age as Woody Harrelson. Like, they grew up together. Like, this is obvious. She's obviously younger. And Carnage hacking the internet with his fingers.
Oh yes, okay. I will admit that one. I was like, how the fuck? He's like, give me the internets. Just like, I'm hacking all into the government secrets. I'm like, how the hell is a symbiote fucking hacking a computer right now?
And if that happens, like, I would have at least appreciated an X2 moment where we see like Kraven the Hunter, and like we see like a list of these powered individuals and where they reside, and then we see her and where she resides.
Give me the internets.
And I'm like, I don't understand. I would have liked, like you said, DX, your beef, the Shriek. What was the purpose? We're going to keep her in a box for what? Are they experimenting with her? Are they preventing her from hurting people? Are they just... What was the purpose of it? What are we doing with her in this box? How did Carnage know, or what's his name know, that she was even still out there, even still interested? They weren't corresponding with each other. Like, they hadn't seen each other in 25 years. And
I showed up to my girlfriend's house from 20 years ago. She'd be like, who the fuck are you?
The police would be showing up, right?
Like, you do not look the same, man.
I've been waiting for you this whole time.
You look old as fuck, man. Like, I don't know. Like, just that little stuff bothered me. And like Frigginz said, I mean, I could probably go on and on, but like those
you've already gone on for about 25 minutes.
I know, my dude. It's just like characters. I'm sorry. I feel bad now.
All right.
Is there anything good at all?
See, that's what I'm saying. We got to get off this negativity train and get to what we loved.
All right. Positivity.
All right. I need some power of positivity coming on in here to get off that train, man. I got to shake that off, man. That was a lot of hate, making me sad. This review just got very sour.
They can't get that out of the way, so we're good now.
All right. I'll start with you, Frigginz. I mean, please, I hope you have something that you at least was like, I dug that.
So I wrote down two things that I could say that as a positive, but in the discussion, I thought of a third. And so I'll actually start with the third. The thing that reminded me of what was good was when the end credits began. So that was one of the best parts of the movie.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm sure we're going to get there on its own, but...
I'm sorry. Fuck this guy.
You just got fucked.
I have a goal to be the first person to get kicked out every time.
Man, I got to kick you out of this goddamn feed.
Yeah. Oh my god, there hasn't been an episode that I have done that.
I finally give this guy a moment to start and kick off our love train of what we enjoyed, and this guy goes when the credits started.
All right. So
he couldn't wait to, we postponed everything to get you on here with us, and you're just
I know, right? Exactly. Next time we do not wait for Frigginz. Take the notes.
I was hauling ass from California to be like, I gotta tell the people, don't listen to Don. So this is one of the times I am saying, don't listen to Don. But no, look, I got two positive things that I did write down for this film. So mine is nice and short. Two simple things. First and foremost, I thought the jokes that were there, they had some good jokes, not all of them, but there were some good jokes, enough to make me laugh. And I think the laughter is what kept me into it. So
I cannot eat Sonny and Cher.
yes, that was hilarious.
They're tiny little brains.
The interactions with what's her name, Miss Chan? Is it Chan? I can't remember.
Mrs. Chen. Permission to eat Mrs. Chen.
Those interactions were fantastic.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of the jokes there didn't work per se, but the ones that hit did make me laugh and chuckle out loud. So those moments kept me in the movie, kept me from walking out, and kept me, you know, just going. And then the second positive that I have for now, and keep in mind, I'm excluding post-credit scene stuff.
Yes. Okay.
The second positive that I have written down for the movie itself is the cartoon drawing scene that kind of explains Cassidy's background. That's all we needed. We didn't need a love story. We didn't need all the flashbacks of, you know, him being in the asylum to start the damn movie. Like, that artistic design made it look creepy and crazy and all over the place, and like, just, you know, you get the essence of what that character is in that, and I really, really liked that aspect. So those were really the two saving graces of the film for me, was that really cool like descriptor, and then also those few jokes that hit for me, because you know, I know we already talked negatives, but I'm not a big fan of Tom Hardy's portrayal of Eddie. He wasn't as bad, I think, in this one than the first, so maybe that's kind of a good thing. But I again, those jokes kept me in it, and that creepy art style explanation of Cassidy was good and should have been it.
See, I'm gonna actually go opposite of you on that statement right there.
Okay.
Of Eddie, of his portrayal of Eddie being better in this one than the first one, because as much as I did like this movie, and I do like him and Venom together, I felt like they made him a bigger bumbling idiot in this movie than he was in the first movie. Like, in this movie, there's moments where he just has no fucking idea like what to do, where to go, how to start. Now, in the first movie, this dude is like an award-winning journalist, right? Like, I mean, he's got a TV show, like, he's the ish. And somehow from that to this movie, he is just like literally when Venom does all the drawings, he's like, oh, I know this one. It's a tree, you know, like, and I'm like, what? And then he's like, it's a house. And when he draws the church, you know, like shit like that. And I'm just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you being so stupid right now? Like, like that whole portrayal to me was dumb. Like, he wasn't an idiot in the first movie. Like, in this movie, it felt like he couldn't do anything on his own, and he needed Venom to kind of guide him along the way. But whereas in the first movie, he was very independent, and he was a smarter dude. Like, I mean, he had issues in the first movie, but I just felt like they really took a turn in this one that he was just kind of this bumbling idiot. Like, and that kind of pissed me off. The
reason I like it for this movie better than the first is because that is truer to the Eddie character that I know. So from the cartoon show and some of the comics, and I'm not going to say all of them because there's been tons of iterations of him, so who knows. But for the ones that I've read and the show that I watched, and my introductions to Eddie from when I was a kid was him kind of being a failure at everything and being kind of a bumbling idiot, and that was a big distraction for me from the first film, because I was like, this is not like the Eddie that I know. And so again, maybe there's a version of Eddie that's more like this, but that wasn't my experience of him. So because of that, that's why I actually like this one better, because it fit to the Eddie that I was familiar with.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
Okay. That's all right. Well, there's Fred's big 2 likes, and I'm gonna pass it over to Peeps, and hopefully you got more than 2 things.
Yeah, and you know, I actually agree with Frigginz on this. Like, I liked Eddie in this one. But also agreeing with you, DX. Like, yeah, he was very annoying at moments. Like, why are we not lethal protectors? You know, and like, I don't know. Anyways, I loved the interactions between Eddie and Venom. I would have liked to see actually kind of more of that. Like, we didn't get that till so far into the first movie, and then this one we just get so much more of that. I love the gate. Yeah, and I love Venom's voice, and the whole, let me fix that for you, and you see literally like the nose like kind of snapping back in place, like, so I can break it again.
Break it again.
And and then even just I the more I watch it, I try to think like, of course they're connected. So when Eddie hurts, Venom hurts.
Adam.
I mean, they are Adam together.
Yeah,
So
that's the couple, Hollywood couple, Adam.
Vetty, whatever.
Vetty.
But so when she, God, that the way that Anne broke the news to Eddie, like how shitty was that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, but I love like Venom trying to console.
That was
Eddie.
supposed to be us.
Yes, and the inner dialogue, and is Venom in there? Huh? What? No, no.
Venom's dead.
It was great, and I'm with what Frigginz had said earlier. During his hates, this movie had it was a well put together and produced movie. Things I can't do in life, but the effects, from what I'm understanding, and I don't know if you had stated this, DX, but I heard like the effects actually wouldn't have been as good if they didn't have to delay as long as they did. So I thought the Carnage, the veiny kind of slimy look that he had to him, and a lot of really good things happening. I don't know about the score. The score didn't really stand out to me that much, but acting and cinematography and all that, it was a well put together movie. So
we got a new Eminem song at the end.
We saw two different movies then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you also said that earlier, though, Fred.
No, that was bats.
Oh, I thought you said you liked that.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I also liked the animated Cletus story. I thought it was it's super dark. It kind of felt like something straight out of like a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of. It kind of had a really creepy vibes on it, and it made like a human side to him, and it was just that cool psychological killer. Like, this is why I do what I do. Like, he's blaming everybody else and not actually taking any kind of responsibility for his actions, which I thought was really great, really fantastic. I'm like, okay, great. Now we're going to get into some good Cletus, and we're going to see some more of him. No, he just wants to get his girlfriend back. Okay. Don't yell at my girlfriend. Well, tell her to stop screaming at me. She can't help it. It's her nature. It hurts when she screams at me. You're a bitch, Carnage. No, you're a bitch, Clean. Whatever. All right. Anyways, we're talking about positive.
He said, if she screams one more time, I'm going to rip her fucking throat out. And you just turned that shit into this weird ass conversation.
I enjoyed that a lot, Peeps. No, I appreciate it. That was better than the movie. Thank you.
Stop feeding into this hate.
Dude. The Carnage scene with all the cop cars, and he had that webbing kind of spread out, though unnecessary, and I don't really understand the purpose of it. It looked great. That was a Transformers moment. I don't know what I'm seeing, but I like it. Why? What is it? Yeah, and then the Venom Carnage fight at the end. I thought it was cool that when she would scream, how both symbiotes would kind of go inside of them, which kind of made sense, and it gave them that ability to, the same thing they do at the end of every fight in every movie, where we have to demask the characters so we know who they are in case we forgot. It was a good way to display that. That stuff was cool and fun, and then there's a moment at the end that I got really excited about.
And I'm sure everybody loved, and we'll get to that in a sec.
Don, you have to tell me how in the world you saw this movie twice. Like,
so this is DX's 25 minute,
because I saw that message and I was like, why are you seeing it a second time? So please let me know.
Dude, like I said, man, like, I had a blast with this movie. Like, to me, like, yes, there's holes, there's gaps, there's, different things that we've talked about that could have been tighter, could have been better in all those aspects. I've always said when reviewing a film, it's about your enjoyment. It's about being entertained. And this gave me 90 minutes of enjoyment. Like, two of my favorite things are action and comedy. And that's exactly what this film gave me. Like, I found the humor to be I said this in my other review, that it was the comedy of the year that I didn't know I wanted. Like I didn't go into this thinking like, oh, I'm gonna think this movie's hilarious, and I walked out like saying it was hilarious. And like these are my key moments of why I enjoyed it, was the one-liners and the dichotomy between those two, and just like I enjoyed them so much. Like you said, Peeps, like I could have had a whole 90-minute movie of just them in everyday life, and not a single villain and not a single fight, just bickering for 90 minutes of how one's an idiot and you're an idiot and I can't live with you and I can't live with you, and
you're a loser. You're a loser.
Yeah, just having that, like I like their dynamic, and to me it's super entertaining. And then when you throw in some action beats on top of it, it entertained the F out of me, man. And I think being at that runtime too makes it, just like I said, it's easier to digest. It's an hour and a half. I really feel like the movie just gets in, goes, and doesn't slow down. And I walked out just being like, yo, I was really entertained. And I thought about it more that night, and I thought about the next day, and I was like, I want to see this thing again, and I just, and sometimes too, I always like to see it on a second viewing, to see if, now that I know what's going to come and I know how things are going to play out, is it as cool to me, or is it going to be, a different take coming out of it? Like, was it overly hyped the first time, and then now I'm like, oh man, I kind of overthought that, or just whatever the case may be. And like I said, I enjoyed it just as much the second time and had just as much fun with it. And as the lines are coming, I'm laughing my ass off, and I'm like, that shit's still funny to me. And like, yeah, it's just everything, dude. It just works. Like, and that, but I love the first movie, and that's the same thing. Is I like their dynamic together, and we didn't get a ton of it because it was an origin story and they had to come together and he had to get the symbiote and all that stuff. Whereas in the second movie, it's one of those sequel tropes where it's like, okay, everything's out the way, we could just go. And the very first time you see Eddie in this movie, 5 seconds later, Venom's already coming off his shoulder and ready to bite the cop, like, and they're fighting in the bathroom, and it's just like, hell yeah, let's go, and it's just like, I loved it, and so to me, it's very, very easy. Like, to me, it's all about enjoyment. It's about having a good time at the theater and just having, and like I said, action and comedy. Those are the two best things, and that's exactly what
I do have a question though. Was that bathroom that he went in, was that like a
multi-purpose,
a multi-sex type bathroom? Like, nobody there was no no picture on the outside. He's like, hey, that's the ladies' room, but there's a lady in the stall next to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
But yeah, so Frigginz, to answer your question, that's how I saw it twice in the first couple days.
No, and that's fair. And I'm talking trash, but like it's good. And there's a lot of people that agree with you, I think, because this movie made a boatload of money. So I'm just, I amp up my dislike, but that's just my opinion. I'm glad that it works for other people.
And like I said, I think if you like the Eddie Venom relationship and you really dig that, like, the rest is kind of cake. And if you don't really dig that, or you think it's too cheesy, or you think it's over the top, or if you don't dig that, you're not going to care for this very much, because you have to buy in to the two of them, and you got to buy into where each part of that is coming from. And I get that, and it makes sense to me, and it's funny to me. And like, yeah, is it the Venom that I assumed I would get when we got the first movie, right? Like, I expect just, there's a different Venom and Carnage movie in my head that we could have got that would have been rated R, like you said, Frigginz, and it could have been these two monsters just ripping through cities and crushing people and eating people and just not giving an F. In another world, we get that, and that would have been cool as hell too, but I have this other version that I was prepared for because of the first movie. I think if maybe this was the first movie coming out the gate, like, maybe there would have been, maybe we would have taken it a different way, because we weren't really set up for that, so then it would have been maybe more of a letdown, but I kind of knew what we were getting into. And I like the way it played out. Like I said, I thought Woody did an amazing job. So it's just about how we all take things, man. I mean, that's about what's great about film. It's subjective, and that's what, same thing with humor. Humor is super subjective. I can think something's the funniest thing in the world and you don't even smirk, I mean, a lot of the humor didn't hit for my wife. When I saw it the second time, I saw it with her, and I'm like, ha ha, ha, and then I look over at her, and she's like, you know, and I'm just like, it was driving me crazy after a couple things. I'm like, can you just smile like for once? Like that shit was funny as fuck, you know, like so, you know, but I mean, it hits differently. It just hits differently for people, and you know, so like I said, this one hit for me big time, and you know, on going back to Rotten Tomatoes, it's one of those ones where on the critic side, this thing's like at a 50%, right? 50% people love it, 50% people hate it. It's that even split. But on the audience side, this movie has an 85%.
No way.
85% for
gosh.
audience. So
Wow.
most people like it from a fan perspective. So it just depends what you're going in for and what you're looking for. You know, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It just is what it is. But for me, like I said, when I started thinking about my favorite moments, different things of the movie, a lot of it was quick moments. They were like those one-liners we talked about, right? Like all starting with the F this guy. Like to me, one of the best uses of the F word, right? In a PG-13, you only get one and you got to use it the right way. And I think one of the best of all time is, of course, Wolverine and X-Men. And X-Men First Class, go fuck yourself. One of the greatest of all time. And I think this one is right up there with it, man. I think when I think about how people can slide it in, you know, hit that final battle, he eats the Carnage symbiote back up, and he's just like, and Cletus is just talking his nonsense, and Venom is just over it, and he's just like, you know what, fuck this guy, and he eats his head off, you know, and it's like, oh shit, like that was great. Thank you for doing that. We talked about the rave a little bit, right? Like I love the stupid. You're awesome. Thank you, one guy. Like just it's the moments that catch you off guard. Like I never expected to see Venom at a rave with glowing necklaces and beads, and he's up there, and you know, and at one point at the rave, somebody says like, "I love your outfit," and he goes, "Thanks, I made it myself." Like,
yes.
You know, it's just like that. It's just so
that was
good.
Funny,
so good. At the end when you know, I think it's right at the end when and everybody's saved and everything's they're getting ready to leave, and Dan, the boyfriend, says something, and Venom goes, "Nobody asked you, Dan." You know. That shit just killed me right there. You know, with Anne, when she talks about being engaged, she shows the ring, and after the end of that, he says, "I'm gonna make you cry now," and he starts trying to force Eddie to cry, and he's like, "She's gonna love it. She's gonna love it. She's gonna eat it up." And he's all like trying not to do it, and he's just like, "No." He's like, "I'm gonna make you cry now."
That was really good.
So good.
I forgot about that.
Me too.
You know, I know you talked earlier, Peeps, about Anne, you know, like that was one of the characters you think did work. And I thought too, like I was so on Anne in the first movie, but I felt the way they used her in this one was great. Like she played her character really well. I like that she had this relationship with Venom, and I love that Venom loves her. Like that's what's cool as hell, right? Like when, like you said, when he's running across the rooftops and he's like, "Look at all the cool things we could do," right? And then she calls, and he's falling off the roof, and he's like, "It's Anne, answer the phone," you know. Like, he's freaking
spits him out almost.
Yeah, and then like, you know, grabs the phone for him, and he's like, "It's Anne, answer the phone," you know. And then even the scene like where Venom is in Mrs. Chen, you know, and then she starts flirting with him, right? Like, 'cause she knows he's in there, and she's like, "Oh, you're such a sexy Venom," you know, and all this stuff. He's like, "Oh yeah, like, yeah," his eyes are like, you know, "Why don't you come out, you little sexy man?" You know, like, that shit was hilarious to me. I love their dynamic. I love that she got to be her little girl Venom again, which is funny because Venom popped into multiple bodies in this movie and always had his same form. But when he goes on Michelle Williams for whatever reason, she's all slender and like, and like sexy Venom, you know. But that was great. And I love the line in the church when they get ready to fight after the whole red one aspect. And he said, Venom goes, "All right, it's time to die." And Eddie goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "No, I mean us. We're gonna die."
That was funny.
Another great line right there. So many moments, man. I mean, I do love the prison breakout, you know, Carnage wrecking shop. Of course, the cathedral fight at the end, and of course the post credits that we'll get to. But I mean, like I said, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of other moments. I mean, I love the fight between them in the apartment and just them bickering, and then I'm bushing up his motorcycle and all the different stuff. So to me, like, it's a lot of moments, and I think those moments hit me so funny, and those scenes play out so well to me that, like I said, I think it crescendos into the bigger picture for my overall just kind of enjoyment on that, you know. So those are big moments right there. And like you said, man, Mulligan turning into Toxin. I mean, I know that that's something they're kind of teased, which is kind of a weird way to tease it because you don't really see anything happening. The idea is that there's another symbiote that went on him, which is transforming him, and that's where his eyes started to glow because Toxin is an offspring of Carnage. So it's like, but again, they didn't show anything. They didn't even show a little sliver of something going in his mouth.
Yeah.
Or
I thought he was
anything,
a vampire. I thought they were leading into
Morbius.
Morbius.
Yeah.
I mean, they just show her choking him out and then like throwing him or something, and he like lands there, and I was just like, what?
And I asked Frigginz in the movie, I'm like, is he dead? And he's like, yeah, no, he's totally dead. I was like, I don't think I saw him die.
No, because he's all
like,
like
no, he's dead.
monsters. No, because he's all like monsters. But it was just a weird way to tease that. Because I mean, obviously, like you really got to dig to find out that police officer Mulligan turns into Toxin, and like you know, and that whole thing. Like, and I agree with you. The cop annoyed the fuck out of me the whole movie too. Like the whole like when Eddie gets broken out by Michelle Williams and he does the typical grabs the chair, God damn it, you know, and throws the chair against the wall. And I'm just like, dude, why are you so hard on Eddie, man? Eddie was like totally cooperative with that dude like the whole movie, and he was such a dick to him the whole time too.
The
just
whole
like
time.
like you said, like it just didn't make any sense. Like they had this weird relationship. So yeah, I don't foresee any kind of Toxin movie coming down the pipeline.
No.
But if they go Venom 3, then obviously they're just setting up another character. But do we continue to have him fight other symbiotes? I mean, like, is that the only thing we can do? Because now we've had 2 movies back to back, right? We had Riot in the first one, and then now we got Carnage.
Toxin's
like
a good guy though. So
is he though?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
Kinda.
whole planet of them, so they can have all. There's
They
Scream.
could, but I mean, do you not take a break? I mean, like, do you like try a different kind of villain for once? I
You
mean,
would
like,
think.
I just don't think you can do 3 movies in a row with just more of this. Like,
I mean, we got 9 Fast and Furious or 11 of them. I mean, it's the
hey,
same
but there's
thing.
always something different in the Fast and Furious world. But you know, you can't. It's not the same villain in every movie. I mean, as much as you want,
formula.
you can change their color every film, right? Oh, now he's fighting a green. Oh shit,
Yeah,
it's a green one. Like, oh shit, it's a yellow one.
It's a yellow one.
Like, you know, like, I mean, but how many times can you do that? Like, I mean,
I
I
don't
was
know.
cool with it. I didn't, because it's like the Flash TV show, right? Like, we made it the biggest joke in the world because the first 5 seasons, every season was a speedster that Flash had to go against. I don't want to see a speedster every season. He's got to fight someone else. And to me, like we got it with Riot. I would have normally been pissed in the second one if it was the same thing, but it was Carnage. So I was like, okay, I want Carnage. So we got to get Carnage. I've been waiting my whole life to see Carnage on the big screen. Cool, give me that. But I don't want another one. Like no, please. Like we can't. We got to do something different.
Also, was it just me? Like when I saw in the trailer the Shriek character screaming, I was thinking Scream, the symbiote Scream. That's what we're going to get, and because I'm like, okay, they're Sony, so they're just going to be real literal here and give us a character who screams really loud. To Scream. No,
I thought it was going to be Scream as well, and I kept waiting for her to get the symbiote, and then it never happened, and I was like, so is this not Scream? And then I later figured out that it was Shriek. Because, you know, one thing I will say is this is the second movie this year that I got burned for not watching the trailer. I saw like maybe a portion of this trailer for this movie. But, you know, I have a tendency to not watch trailers because I want to have like everything surprised. There is a bad side to that because then you can go in and be completely blindsided by how terrible something is. And this is the second movie that burned me for not watching the trailer. So I'm starting to second guess. Maybe I should.
Fantastic.
Maybe I don't know.
I think you would have watched that trailer and been like, "Oh, this doesn't look very good." Like you would have been like,
"This looks I probably would have been like, that looks
Come
cool."
on, that's the trailer's job, man. Most of the time, like they're gonna put all the best shit in there.
Yeah.
But
good trailer.
All right, well, we will get to the part that I think everybody's been waiting for, which of course is the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene. It is right in the middle of the film, and this, of course, is what is the talk of the world and talk of the multiverse, as I should say, right now. going into it. So, mid-credit scene, we find that Eddie and Venom are on the run. They are now the lethal protectors, and they got their toes in the sand and ready for the good life. But they're in that dingy hotel room and just watching a TV novella, and they're just chilling out, right? And then Venom starts talking about like, oh man, like if you knew like the hive knowledge that I have and across all the universes I've been to, like it would fry your tiny little brain, like you can't even imagine what I've seen. And he's like, would you like me to show you? And he's like, yeah, of course, whatever, show me. And at that point, the light comes in through the window and things start shaking. And what's going on? And all of a sudden, boom, something snaps. And now the hotel room is not dingy anymore. It's bright. It's nice. The doors are open. The beach is there. I mean, it's the same hotel room, but it's not. Something's different,
But
right?
it's not.
And I love that Venom's like, what the hell is that? And there's just a towel next to him, right?
I didn't
Shaped
catch
as a
that.
swan.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Shaped as a swan. It was hilarious. What the hell is that? But they're sitting there and you hear the J. Jonah Jameson voice on the TV and you're like, what is that? And he's sitting there and he transforms into Venom, and on the TV they're like, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and he gets to the TV and he says, that guy, and licks the screen, and then transforms back, and then a dude standing there like, what the hell are you doing in my hotel room? So the moment is there. The multiverse, as we know, from whether it be the Loki TV show or Doctor Strange and his Spider-Man spell that got broken because Tom Holland just couldn't shut up for a second and not worry about retelling his friends that he's Spider-Man, that he broke the spell and now the multiverse is broken. So Venom has been now brought into the MCU, and this is crazy, man. This is a game changer. I mean, how deep does this go? A lot of people speculating right out the gate, okay, Tom Hardy's going to be in Spider-Man Far From Home, or No Way Home, sorry, that he's going to be in the movie. I don't really think he's going to be in the movie. He might maybe pop up in something like post-credits, something like that. But there are a lot of rumors that he's been there. There was a picture of Tom Hardy a couple weeks ago where he had the Spider-Man No Way Home production hat on. And everybody was like, well, you only get that if you were on the crew, right? So then it's like, is he in the movie? So maybe, maybe they redid something in reshoots or whatever, but he's there now. Like there's the opportunity to cross these streams, which we had a feeling they were kind of heading towards, right? Ever since the Morbius trailer came out and you saw Vulture in that trailer, it was like, oh, is this in the same kind of universe? There's been a lot of rumors. Obviously, Doc Ock, and Electro and all these other people coming into the next Spider-Man movie, showing that the multiverses have collided. So now Venom is in this world. Will it only be for one movie? Will it be, is he then going to get, is Doctor Strange going to fix the timeline in his movie in the Multiverse of Madness, and Venom just goes back and we just had a tease for a tease? Like, this is going to be fun to dissect down, just kind of like where. Okay, so two parts, I guess. Like your thoughts on the scene itself. Were you shocked? Were you excited? And kind of where do you think this really takes us? Where do you think this goes in the grand scheme of the Sony, Disney, Spider-Man multiverse universe? So, Peeps, I know you've been dying to talk about this part, so kind of go for it, man. What you got coming out of this?
I mean, as stated, this moment had me super excited. I was kind of hoping for something like this in the first movie, and with all the stuff that's been going on with Marvel and Sony, and the fact that they kind of broke up for a little bit, but then they kind of hooked back up and got back together. Like I said on my show, I have an episode every Monday I call them Marvel Cinematic Mondays, and I'm like, I'm not going to talk about Venom, but I think I probably should in the small chance that Sony and Marvel will actually come together. And in this case they did. And dude, I will tell you, like that moment, I'm like clapping, like like when everything shakes and somebody in the background is like, oh, multiverse. I was like, no, dude, I'm clapping. I'm excited. Like I'm sure Frigginz is sitting next to me telling me to shut up. And I'm like, oh, it's ridiculous.
He was like, what the hell is that?
And to immediately hear J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons' voice, man, like I'm telling you, like if I could, I wanted to scream, but I didn't because I'm a gentleman. But I was extremely excited about that moment, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm like I could show you, things, and I thought maybe we might see a glimpse of somewhere in Venom's past or somewhere where he did have, we might see in this universe we might see a what is it where did Spider-Man first get in contact with Venom? It was in the Secret
Wars.
Secret Wars. Yeah, we might see like a fun little glimpse of Secret Wars or something. So I didn't know what to expect, but when I saw it, I was excited. I'm stoked. And I don't know if you mentioned, but like I'm also kind of worried. Like, does this mean that that Venom is going to the MCU, or does this mean that Spider-Man is coming back to Sony? So
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways it could play, because we know at this point Tom Holland's contract is up. He's done his 3 Sony Spider-Man movies. The Marvel deal is technically up after Far From Home. Tom Holland does have one more Marvel like team-up movie on his contract to do, so kind of like he had with Avengers and stuff. So he is slated to be somewhere at some point in Marvel something. But from the Sony standpoint, it's done. Now, we know Tom Holland has said multiple times, like, I love playing this character. I'll play it for as long as they'll have me. So I don't have any doubt that they're going to re-up his contract. But it does make you wonder, are they, since this deal's winding down, is it the opposite? Is this multiverse snapping Spider-Man out of his universe with the MCU and putting him into the Sony Spider-Verse? And that's that. I do pretty well believe that Venom just went into the MCU. I feel like for at least a bit, at least why Marvel in this phase 4 is really focused on the multiverse, that everybody's going into the MCU at least for the next year or two. And then once it gets fixed, everybody goes back. And then we separate the ship back out and we're done. Because I don't think they can keep it forever.
You watch Flash too much.
Yeah.
I don't think they can keep it forever. I don't think that they trust Sony that much to juggle, something that's going to have the Marvel Studios logo on it. They only do that with Spider-Man because Kevin Feige is there and he's involved. And I don't think he can be involved with all the Disney Plus shows, all the MCU stuff, and let's add the Sony world on top of it with Kraven and Morbius and all the other stuff that we're doing. Maybe they can work something out with a Spider-Man Venom movie that is a collaboration between the two. That would be kind of cool if the next Spider-Man movie is something with Venom and we actually get the true traditional, and that's how he gets the white spider on his chest, right? He's like, I want to be like that guy, and then he gets it, That'd be cool. And then he now has that going forward, I do, like I said, I do feel pretty confident that this is in the MCU for now, just because we are dealing so much with the multiverse and that we've already seen with Doc Ock and Electro and everybody coming in, that the worlds are colliding, that we have a Spider-Verse truly at this point. And, but it will be corrected, and I think it'll probably be corrected by the end of Doctor Strange. So, it started with, like I said, Loki, the Spider-Man movie. It's going to play into Doctor Strange, and then we'll kind of see from there. But I mean, who knows? Because I mean, Ant-Man 3 could still be dealing with a lot because it has Kang in it, so it could still be dealing with the multiverse. And maybe that movie's correcting the multiverse and kind of ends everything. And that movie's not till 2023. So there's still time. But I do think more than anything else, he popped into our MCU. That is our Tom Holland. That is our J. Jonah Jameson. It was the same kind of stuff from the end of Far From Home that it was kind of playing. So, here we are. So I don't know what your take, Frigginz. What are you kind of expecting out of this, and what was your take?
Well, I'll start with my take, and first just kind of the experience of seeing it happening. Like Peeps was saying, I was just like, as soon as I saw stuff glowing yellow, I was like, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange. And then, and then hearing J. Jonah, I would never have thought of that. Like, I think there was always the hope to connect Venom and Spider-Man together for us big nerds that have been watching this and reading this for ever. But, I never really thought that they would come to some sort of agreement to be able to make it work. So I just talked about how I didn't like the first movie, and I talked about how I didn't like the second movie, and I had so many problems with these characters. But immediately having this concept of Venom being with Spider-Man, I got incredibly excited for. Like I was bouncing up and down. My heart was like pounding like full for excitement. Like I got all the feels flowing through my veins. And even though I didn't like these movies, the concept of that character of Venom being able to interact with Peter Parker and Spider-Man under someone else's guidance, like Feige and whatever director, especially since they're trying to make them funny. Could you imagine Venom with Taika Waititi or James Gunn?
Say Guardians. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes. And one of those two guys getting to play with them would be just pure gold. So I don't know who's going to be able to get to utilize him in whatever number Spider-Man that he may or may not show up in. But I feel like having that possibility gives me hope and tons of excitement, because the two Venom movies so far haven't given me what I wanted. And now I at least still have hope to be able to get what I would like out of it. So it definitely impacted me strongly, way more than I expected, and way more than probably even makes sense, because again, I don't like any of the movies.
Why do you guys think Venom was so intrigued seeing the picture of Peter? You know, like why was he so like he automatically transformed and he licked the screen and he was like that guy? Why do you think there's the connection there? It's not like he saw him in action and he was like, oh, that dude's really cool swinging around. Like he saw him unmasked and was intrigued by him. Like what do you think that was?
I got two thoughts, and simply, if I go with the simplest version, you know, Venom while on the beach was like, we should get a mask and a cape and go do stuff. Like, so maybe it's just him seeing, like, that's kind of his envision of like what he thought he could be. But more so, and what I really think is happening is in the trailer for Far From Home, we see that Doc Strange is specifically altering time and reality based on Peter Parker. So I feel like we're getting an impact in that spell. Is the concept is like for the world to forget Peter Parker was Spider-Man. So instead, it's going to put a focus on Peter Parker. And so I think that maybe, you know, what changes is more of like causing them to be attracted to Peter Parker. And I think it has to do with the spell.
Okay. Peeps, you got any idea?
I don't. I kind of had that moment where I'm like, why are they just like forcing that?
Right.
But to try to justify it, it may tie into what Venom was just talking about, like moments before. You know, he has a hive mind that spans across, you know, infinite,
maybe
galaxies.
Across the multiverse. And he's seen the multiverse
thinking.
Version where they were tied together.
And there has then this is another reason why Venom is actually pulled into this spell, because there is a link. Why does Venom have the same eyes as Spider-Man's costume if he's never been in contact with Peter Parker? There has to be some kind of link somewhere within Venom's DNA that caused him to mask himself to look. Well, I guess all the symbiotes look like that, but whatever.
No, I like it. I that's where my mind was going to, was the hive mind knowledge of across he says across multi universes and everything like that. And it could be he knows of a world where he was tied with a Peter Parker and he sees that guy and he's like, oh, that's the guy. That's my
guy.
Dude.
Like, I remember you.
You know.
The other thing
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the other thing that is of interest to me is because I kept thinking, how are they going to have Venom without having him go to Spider-Man? Because we know from the classic lore, it's Peter Parker first, then it goes on to Eddie, and then that creates kind of the conflict between Parker and Eddie, right? Or exacerbates it because they already had conflict as photographers. But what I'm thinking is they've tweaked and changed some suit stuff differently, or not suit, story stuff differently in the past. Most recently, we see like with Taskmaster and Black Widow, they tweaked some of those things to make it fit with the story. So what I'm wondering is, what if in this instance we have Brock with the suit, and this is the explanation of how Spider-Man gets the black suit? Can you imagine, you know, Eddie losing it and it going on to Parker, and then in the reverse, and that could actually be kind of interesting too.
It's right when we started to both kind of talk at the same time. That was where I was kind of going with it, was like, do you guys think that we might in a way see that kind of play out almost in a Spider-Man 3 kind of redo where they do meet up and Venom's so intrigued with them that he jumps on to Peter and becomes the black suit Spider-Man, and then maybe Peter starts kind of going down a little bit of a different path, gelling with Venom, and then Eddie trying to get it back or whatever, which causes Eddie to kind of snap, to be like, I need him back, he's mine, like I'm nothing without him. And that would help kind of give Eddie that more villainy kind of side to kind of go against him.
And maybe that's how we get the anti-Venom too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways, but that way popped in my mind, which I would love to see. But do you feel like that would be something they would do, or do you feel like that is too close to Spider-Man 3 that they would be like, I don't know, maybe we have to?
I'm gonna say 100%. Like they're starting this with Venom showing interest in this guy. Yeah. So 100% Venom is going to be whether if it's a fanboy or he just has some kind of primal need to get closer to him or to connect with him. Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily going to happen in Far From Home. Maybe like a post-credit scene at most. But I don't think it'll be
maybe a post-credit scene of like Peter bumping into Eddie, on the street or something, and you're like, oh shit, like that was the first, like like Eddie's trying to find him and he bumps into him, and boom, that's just it, right? Just to kind of set up for that next big moment, right? Like that's something I see.
So be like, hey, I'm gonna ask you a question, and Doc Strange throws a bunch of trains at him. Okay, maybe later.
Yeah.
Are you that guy? There's a lot of ways to play out, man. It's exciting because it's just like where and when, right? When, like how? Is it gonna pop up in Far From Home? Is it gonna pop up in the Multiverse of Madness? Like is it gonna be Spider-Man 4? Like when are we gonna see this stuff? And it is super, super exciting to kind of see these worlds cross, because I definitely love Black Suit Spider-Man, and I would love to see kind of this Venom attach on to our Tom Holland and kind of see how that would play out. I think it'd be a lot of fun and be super, super cool to kind of see Tom get to ham it up a little bit, of kind of being a little bit more cockier and being like, man, I never felt this powerful, kind of thing. And just not needing like Tony Tech. He doesn't need it anymore because he has this cool ass suit.
And
do anything.
And to still have the Tom Hardy, voicing Venom, like that voice.
That
would be cool.
That would be awesome. And like I said, and then that's just the way that now maybe Venom has spider webs that come out when he goes back to Tom Hardy, or definitely, like I said, it's how he gets the spider on his chest, because he's mimicking his time from being with Peter, so many cool ideas that of where this can go. And just hell of a scene, man. I know that Tom Hardy has been saying since the first movie that, I mean, he's super invested. He's a producer on these films. He helped write the second film. Like, he wants to get there. Like, he's a big fan. He wants to see these guys fight. And I know Andy Serkis wants to do it too. Like, he was super intrigued by it. Like, when they got the call to do that post-credit scene and that they could make it work. And he even said at one point Spider-Man was actually slated to be in the film. And then they ended up having to change it out. And then they just settled on the post-credits. So, I mean, who knows, man, what this could have been. But super, super exciting. Of a post-credit scene right there for that movie. So real quick, I gotta shout out the box office, guys. I mean, holy crap, never expected it to be this film. If you would have told me a couple years ago that this film would outperform MCU films, would have said, you're crazy. Venom made $90 million in its opening in just 3 days, which is not only the biggest of the year, but it's the biggest of the entire pandemic era. Biggest movie since Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. That's how long it's been. And it made more money than the original film, which is also something that no other sequel has done since the pandemic started. Everything's obviously made less money. So the first Venom made 80 million and this one made 90. Just to put it in perspective, Black Widow was the record holder with $80 million. And so this made 10 million more. Shang-Chi made 75 and Fast 9 made 70. So those were the three biggest ones of the year. And then Venom out of nowhere. Holy crap, man. They were estimating this thing to maybe hit 60 and just completely crushed everything.
Is that just domestic, or is that like
that's just
worldwide?
Domestic? I mean, just in the United States. So massive hit and the biggest opening of the year. of the last year and a half to be full. So
Yeah.
I mean, just insane when you really think about it. That it was this movie of all things that really did it. I mean, maybe if Black Widow wasn't on Disney Plus at the same time when it was released in theaters, it would have done better than 90 million, because it did make 80 and then made like another like 60 million on Disney Plus that weekend when it came out. So it probably would have done a lot better. But man, it's just good to see, because it looks like we're kind of getting back to some normalcy when it comes to the box office. And these movies.
I know our theater was packed.
Stuff. Oh dude,
yeah.
Both times I saw it, it looked like it was sold out. I mean, I couldn't see anything. And when I saw it the second time, I went early in the morning. I was at like the 11:30, like first day in the morning showing, and it was completely sold out. Wow. And then that IMAX showing I saw was sold out as well. So, and that's what I've heard from everybody that saw it. They said their theater was packed. And so, and I'm sure the 90-minute runtime really helped this, definitely, because I think it was able to be played more times throughout the day. Whereas obviously, if the film was 2.5, 3 hours long, you could only show it so many times.
So much,
So that definitely played into it. So,
like also like it's like, you know, kudos to Andy Serkis. You know, like we all love Andy Serkis, and he's super, you know, famous for being unknown. Like like he should have won like acting awards like a long time ago. But hopefully, I mean, we know he's not going to get any awards for this movie because it's a superhero movie, but like, you know, congratulations.
No, I mean, big kudos to him. But I mean, stepping in, I always find it, you know, inspiring when somebody steps in to take over kind of a movie, right? To take over a franchise. It's already been established. It's someone else's vision. It's someone else's tone that you kind of have to come in and be like, I can kind of do my own thing, but I have to kind of still keep these fundamentals.
Still have to
and for somebody like an Andy Serkis to come in and be like, I'm excited and I want to do this. I mean, that was kind of when he got announced, I was like, damn, Andy Serkis is coming in to take over the sequel. Like, that's crazy. But it was also exciting just because this is the king of mocap. Like, I figured he could really add stuff to Venom and to Carnage and kind of show how to use that mocap suit and stuff and how to really do it.
I did see something too that Woody Harrelson he didn't want to voice Carnage. And Andy Serkis was just like convincing him, like, no, like this is like, you know, it's a part of you. So, you know, he just kind of coached him into it type of thing. Cool. So like you said, like I think for a motion capture kind of like hero and villain, I think, you know, it's a great pick. And I think Mowgli's dope. I don't care what anybody says.
It's no Jungle Book, but you know, I can't wait to see him as Alfred. So we'll see how that plays out.
That's exciting.
All right, guys, it's that time. Final thoughts and scores as we wrap this baby down. This will be so much fun to hear from you all on this. So, you know, as we go through and give our wrap up of Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So, Frigginz, I think it'll be the worst. So I will start with you to go with your final thoughts and your score.
I had to scramble to pull up my letterbox to check what I scored it, because I was like, how bad did I go? I can't remember. I actually ended up so as far as final thoughts, again, you know, I know that, you know, I've been the let me bash this movie voice of this podcast or this YouTube video here, but the thing is, there were a couple moments that I enjoyed. When you talked about those jokes, that was definitely big impact. The after credit scene was the biggest impact of the entire film. Never have I had, you know, just a couple of minutes completely change an experience of a film for me. You know, all in all, I don't like this franchise as, you know, its own story, but I can still find some fun moments to kind of make it worth it. Now, it's not a film that I'm going to go and rewatch again. I can tell you right now, I haven't watched the first one since the theater. And I probably won't ever watch this movie again unless it happens to be on TV and I got nothing else going on. And as I say that, I just want to note that, again, I didn't walk out of the theater. I didn't, you know, it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. So there were some good points to it.
Thanks for those kudos.
Yeah, you know,
put that on the poster. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Frigginz.
But you know, I have to.
Nobody asked you, Fred.
Oh, you literally asked me.
Not after that.
I have to speak my piece, and all that being said, like, kudos to them, as you mentioned, Peeps, earlier. Like they did a thing, and I haven't done that thing, and good job for them. I'm glad it made a ton of money. I'll still be broke over here, but at the end of the day, for this show, my opinion is it's not a movie I enjoyed all that much. So as far as ratings go, out of our 5, I did give it 2. Not as bad as you probably thought, Don. Again, it was okay. It had a few moments that were enjoyable, some good laughs. But I have to say that an after credit scene really helped the score because it probably been a little bit lower without it.
Shame. Fuck this guy. All right, Peeps, what you got? Final thoughts, score.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of negative about this, and I had a 25-minute rant about it, and I'm not going to go into further details on how we should have seen Venom kill the prisoners along with the police officers to actually give us some kind of scary bad guy. This guy just doesn't give an F. I'm not going to get into the whole what does a red one mean. Like, I just want to know why a red one is such an important
so violent. Red is the color of blood. You wouldn't be scared of a red one.
Rage.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's also the color of love, I think.
True.
Do you see red when you love? You know what? I don't want to know. That's fine.
Depends on how hard he's loving.
So yeah, it had some goods, it had some bads. Amazing end credit scene. As I said though, in a little bit in the beginning, like the end credit scene also kind of messes it up because it's like everything they just showed me doesn't really matter because they're probably starting over again. So, but maybe not because they're teasing characters.
Toxin, baby, come on, we're ready. Let's go.
Yeah. But no, I mean, overall, like it like I said, well put together movie, great special effects, actors were doing the great acting thing. So like, I can't really knock it. Like, I can't just sit and hate it. Just Peeps has a problem. He'll go into a movie having certain expectations, and if those expectations aren't met, he starts creating these how it could have gone, and that isn't really fair. Someone kind of semi-wise once told me, when going into a movie, and especially if it's not done by the actual, makers of the product, you just got to shut your brain off and just let the movie take you for a ride. Now, that person unfortunately wasn't able to follow their own advice for this franchise, but I think it's a fair statement. Let's go into Venom knowing that there's no Spider-Man, knowing that Carnage is going to be different, and his relationships. It's a different experience. So with that, Peeps is going to give it. I'm going to give it 3 semi-angry symbiotes.
Nice.
Okay.
Not super angry, but like you said, when you said Don DX having the 2 symbiotes like clashing and destroying the whole city, like, I didn't even know I wanted that until you mentioned that. That would have been amazing. Like that,
Yes.
just like
it would have been good. It would have been a whole nother great film.
Yeah,
maybe that would have been the 5-star film. But,
you got to get on the directing chair for number 3, Don.
some of our viewers have their ratings too. So.
Oh yes,
but yeah, man. So like I said, we're all over the place on this one. So we got a 2, we got a 3. And like I said, I had a great time with it. I'm going to be, final thoughts are just what I said before. I feel like if you really like the first film, you'll really like this one. And if you didn't, I don't think you're going to like this one either. Like, I mean, I feel like it's just more of the same. It's kind of taking the first movie and cranking it up a little bit. If you don't enjoy the rom-com bitterness of Eddie versus
rom-com.
Brock and just kind of their romantic, it's their tensual sexual tension that is going on there, then I mean, I don't know if you'll dig this movie. I mean, like I said, it really starts and ends with that relationship. If you can't get into the Eddie Venom dichotomy, then I don't know if this is for you. It really worked for me. The humor worked for me. The action worked for me. And I had a blast with it. So at the end of the day, I came in at a 4.5. for this one for me. Like I said, I didn't quite hit the 5. I almost went to the 5, but because of the runtime, because of the things we talked about, Shriek, and kind of just I wanted more action scenes, especially between Venom and Carnage. I couldn't quite get there fully, but it was close, man. I mean, like I said, it's just a fun watch. And to me, at the end of the day, when I leave a movie theater, I just want to be entertained. The movies that I walk out kind of depressed on are the movies that I feel drag, or the movies that I find so boring, and the movies that I'm just like, come on, something needs to happen. I felt like this movie's pacing was just going and going, and it was laugh, and it was action, and it was laughing, and it was action, and it just had what I needed to get me through, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, guys, there you go. I mean, I don't think we've had a movie that's been this kind of for a long time. 2-star, or 3-star, or 4.5 star. So there you go. We're all over the place, but hey, it gives you something for everyone. What did you guys think there at home, there of you listening? Let us know what you believe this movie ranks in your world, in your star scale. So, alrighty. Let's wrap this baby up. This Am I Still on the Air? Venom Let There Be Carnage spoiler review. So as always, we need to talk about where can the people find y'all. So I'm going to start with you, peeps. Let them know where and what you doing and where the people can find you.
You can find me, of course, at reddragonsradio.com. In case you wanna find some things, but also on the Twitters, number for my peoples, hop on, holla at me. I throw my episodes, I throw this guy's show on there, and occasion Frigginz and I will come together, and we'll start hooting and hollering. Mostly positive, though. This is a very unique experience. We're not grumpy Sallies all the time, but yes, if you want to Google the People's Forum, that is the name of my show. 2 E's on People's, and
check it out. Frigginz, what you got?
Well, I also happen to show up every now and again on reddragonsradio.com, typically here on Am I Still on the Air? But also, as Peeps mentioned, on the People's Forum, I get invited over there. Currently, we're wrapping up our Star Wars Vision discussion, which is pretty fun. So be sure to check the For My People's posts for updates on those. I'm also available on Twitter and Instagram. Real simple, because it's the same thing for both. That's at Frigginz, Frigginz, Frigginz with a Z. Right there. Oh, wait, that way. The screens are backwards. Also, occasionally, if you are into D&D, we live stream one of our D&D games. That's over on twitch.tv/Mead and Friends, MEAD. Mead and Friends. We do that typically every other Saturday, but because of people's schedules and stuff like that, we have to adjust that. But keep an eye on that. Follow me on Twitter. I'll show out send out some posts on that.
Yeah, buddy. Well, thanks, guys, once again. The show, of course, Am I on the Air? Follow it on Twitter as well, all one word. And you can, of course, follow me on Twitter, all one word as well, DX DONMEGA, bringing you guys the Am I on the Air? Am I Still on the Air? And, of course, Am I on the Air Quick Bites as well. So make sure you subscribe to everything. You can see all the stuff there at the bottom. AmIOnTheAir.com will bring you to all of it. So thanks for joining us on this live breakdown of Am I Still on the Air? The Venom Let There Be Carnage spoiler review. And till next time, y'all. Peace.
Bye-bye.